Hey, welcome back to Leah's Leaves. We get to talk about tomatoes. It's almost tomato seed starting time. I've picked out my varieties. Let's check them out. I have no idea why that Holly doesn't seem nearly as enthusiastic about my tomato seed selection as I do. Huh. Okay. Ooh, look at all those. These are the ones I pulled from my tomato and pepper photo case seed collection system, sorted according to tomato type. I'm going to link to a video below from M.I. Gardner. He did a good job explaining the different styles and types of tomatoes, different classifications and how they qualify, and also a very good explanation of the difference between indeterminate, determinate, and semi-determinate tomato varieties. The one thing he didn't mention was this first variety that I'm growing because it's one of my favorites. Oh, there it is. Oxheart tomatoes. He didn't really have a classification for those. They are different from slicers. They have much more flesh, less gel, less water content, and fewer seeds. They are a meaty, hearty type of tomato, largely bred for cooler climates, so they do really well in my area. So I'm growing orange Oxheart tomatoes this year. Okay, let's get into it. We'll start with like our slicers and saladettes. I'm growing Jubilees again. Probably my favorite standard heirloom yellow tomato. Very low acidity, average size fruit, very versatile. And because I don't like a ton of acidity in my tomato pastes and salsas, I will chop one or two of these into a standard recipe to cut the acidity, and it works just great. Plus, they're just really beautiful plants. And in my experience, they have grown to a very uniform size on the plant. Painted Lady variegated tomatoes. I got these seeds in a swap with Valerie Sayer. Black Krim. Aunt Ruby's German green. This is a first for me. I did sow these last year, but I didn't actually succeed in growing them, so I'm trying them again. Berkeley tie-dye pink. These are cool. In my experience with these, they did have the beautiful coloring. I didn't get very uniform shape, and the last time I grew them, they were affected by the Canadian wildfire, ash and smoke and stuff blocking sunlight. And so they really just didn't get enough sunlight to do very well. I'm assuming that Canada's not going to light itself on fire this season and that I'll have more success. Thorburns Terracotta is one of my favorite tomatoes to grow. It is just an absolutely beautiful slicer. Pretty color. This is new to me. I've had these seeds a couple years, but I haven't dedicated space to them. This year I'm finally growing them because part of the name of the game this year is variety of color. So I'm going to grow the Great White. I don't often grow potato leaf varieties because of the different pestilence they're susceptible to, but I do want to try a German Johnson this year. So I'm going to do that. I got these seeds from Joe Koslowski over at Garden State Gardener. I almost couldn't say that. Hi, Joe. Dr. Witchies, Weiches. I still have no idea how to pronounce that. I learned about these from Jess Sowards over at Roots and Refuge Farm, and she pronounces it Witchies, so that's what I've been saying. I have no idea if it's right or not. That's a yellow tomato slicer, beefsteak style. Paul Robeson. That name is incorrect. It's Robeson, Paul Robeson. It's a purple variety, like dark red with dark purple shoulders on it. Sort of a smoky flavor. Tomato Lemon Giant. Never heard of these, never tried them. I received these seeds at my local library seed vault. So we're giving them a shot. Manitoba. I want to talk to you for just a moment about looking for clues in the names. You'll also see that I have glacier tomatoes. Manitoba, of course, is up in Saskatchewan and Canada, when you see words like alpine, frosty, iceberg, then they give you Russian, anything Ukrainian, Polish, this or that. Those are northern climates. And since I live in the hills of Western PA and we have a short summer, we have a very cool spring and a very cool fall, I need some varieties of tomatoes that will guarantee fruiting early on, even if the temperatures are a little lower than optimum for most tomato varieties. Manitoba is a great variety for a cooler climate. What kind of horrible human being would I be living in Western PA, an hour from Pittsburgh, if I didn't grow Heinz tomatoes? One of my favorite of tomatoes I've ever grown before, the climbing triple crop. These things will grow like 15, 16 feet if you trellis them. You could put an extension ladder up against your house and start one of these at the bottom, and it'll grow all the way to the top. So I'm going to grow these up and over a cattle panel trellis and give them a nice long length. It won't be 15 feet, though. I'll give them like 7 or 8 feet. Here we move on to some of our Determinate tomatoes. I'm growing Red Pride. Was, and ever shall be my favorite, most prolific, useful, bush-style Determinate tomato. These things rock. And the tomatoes are uniform in size and color and very, very resistant to pests. Same with this guy right here. My second favorite tomato I've ever grown in my life. Now on the picture, they look redder than they really are. They actually come out pink. But they're Raspberry Liana. I love this plant, and they produce very well for me here. This is new to me. It's called Legend from Seeds and Such. I just had a grab bag of seeds from Seeds and Such, and this was in there. So I'm giving them a shot. It says it'll be about an 8-ounce red round Determinate. I like growing Determinates because I grow some of my tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets, and they require very little staking, and I'll get a flush of fruit all at once. And that's great for sauce and salsa making. It's another Determinate variety from Seeds and Such. This is a hybrid, though, so I have no idea what to expect. And if I save seeds from this tomato, I have no idea what to expect. But let me tell you, even if you're growing a hybrid variety, say you got some seeds from your box store and it's a hybrid this or that, go ahead and save the seeds. It's not like a hybrid plant won't grow fruit from its seeds. It's just that the traits of the next generation of fruit may only mimic one of the parent plants instead of both of them. So you might not get fruit that's true to this particular type. But dude, you will still get food. And in an age of food insecurity and increasing self-sufficiency, plant those seeds and eat you some tomatoes, okay? Don't worry about it being hybrid. The only reason you need to worry about it being hybrid is if you're trying to grow an heirloom variety or an open pollinated variety and keep growing that same plant. If you absolutely depend on the fruit next year being the same as the fruit this year, then stick with heirlooms. But if you don't care and you just need food, you can go ahead and save seeds from hybrid plants and plant them next year. Oh, before I leave the hybrid thing, just understand that hybrid seeds are coming from seed stock, plants that had very good traits to begin with. When you hybridize plants, you're picking from the favorite traits. So you're not going to get crappy food from a hybrid seed. You're actually going to get very good plants, even if they're not identical to the ones you grew from the hybrid seed. Okay, moving on. Another Determinate. This is brand new to me. I got this in a seed swap. This is Summer Sunrise, and it's described as a big, tasty golden slicer adorned with sun rays of crimson. It's a dwarf habit. It only grows 4 feet tall. Cool. Ace 55 VF, good disease resistant, open pollinated variety that produces mid-sized fruits and is good for containers. Here's another hybrid variety. This one's an indeterminate, so that's a vining type, saladette, called Perfect Flame. Brand new to me, never tried it, gonna give it a shot. Also new to me, Thai Pink Egg. These are pretty. I just want to grow them because they're pretty. Amish paste, classic paste tomato. I grow these every year. Gargamel was my favorite new tomato last year. They are stunning. They're variegated. They have everything from purple to red to orange and straight, streaky, beautiful, and huge. They were much larger than I realized for a paste style or plum style tomato. Cream sausage, lower acidity, more flesh, fewer seeds. Great for paste and sauce making. I don't make my own tomato paste. It's not efficient. I can use my tomatoes in a better way and then go to the dollar store and pay $1.25 for tomato paste. I will let the professionals make the paste, but I use paste tomatoes to make great sauce and salsa. One of the most interesting tomatoes I ever grew, I hadn't done it in a few years, so I'm bringing it back. Shemeg stew stuffing tomato. It's shaped like a bell pepper with nice thick walls, and it's terrific for exactly what it says. Stuff it with rice and meat and cheese and onions and broil it and eat it as a stuffed tomato. They're just really pretty. They're red with like orange and yellow streaks on it, and they were just a cool looking tomato. Yellow plum. Here's the glacier I mentioned earlier, glacier seeds. Again, bred for a cooler climate, shorter gestation period, and mildly frost or cool temperature tolerant. So if the temperatures do dip down into the 40s, the plants are not going to suffer. And I'm growing 2 varieties of tomatillo this year. Last year I tried these purple ones. They germinated, but then if you remember that my yard was excavated because of a natural gas line repair, these ended up in soil that had just too much clay in it. It had all my good soil was dug down, all the clay was brought up, and they suffered. So I'm going to grow them again, but I'm going to grow them in a different location this year. And then the pineapple tomatillos was, and ever shall be my favorite fresh snack in the garden. I don't do any of these but eat them straight off the ground. They don't make it into the house. I eat them while I'm working in the garden. Growing baby sweet. These are like a container variety, great for a hanging basket, and they grow grape-sized sweet red tomatoes. Snow White, a white large cherry tomato. These seeds also came from Garden State Gardener. We're giving them a shot this year. These were my favorite cherry tomato from last year, so I'm growing them again. Black strawberry. This is a new variety to me. I received in a seed swap at my Mensa, the Mensa conference this year in Baltimore for the homesteading special interest group. Somebody brought them. They are called Evil Olive. Don't they look like that? It's a perfect name. These are new to me. Trying Hartman's Yellow Gooseberry. These came to me in a seed grab bag from M.I. Gardener. I didn't pick these out. I received them in my grab bag, and I'm like, looks interesting. Let's give it a shot. Isis Candy Cherry Tomatoes. These are like the little spoon style, so they're smaller cherries. Along with that, Matt's Wild Cherry. Very popular variety of cherry. I've never tried these before, but I've heard like a million people growing them. Sweetie Cherry. This one and the Super Sweet 100, these two are just sort of very, very standard varieties that creep into my garden from time to time because they're very reliable and prolific. American Blue. This is a dark blue, like indigo colored tomato cherry variety, and they suffered from the same clay problem last year, so we're giving them another shot in better soil. And Russian Apple Tree. I just looked these up on Nicotovka Seeds and saw some photos of them, and they looked really cool. Now, if you order tomato seeds from Nicotovka, there are extra steps you have to take and extra fees you pay. So I won't be ordering any more tomatoes from them because it just stopped being affordable. But I got these the year before all that started, and they were super cheap. And when they send you seeds, if you do order from them, I've already used some from here. They send you a ton. So if you can support Nikotovka, they're a terrific seed company, especially if you're living in the northern half of the United States with shorter summers. A lot of their plant varieties will suit your climate. Now, I didn't get too much into the dwarf varieties. I am going to plant the silvery fir tree again because it's just a pretty plant and it's very interesting foliage, not like a typical tomato. It's also got a dwarf habit, so it won't grow too tall, and I can grow it in a 5-gallon bucket, and it doesn't require too much staking. Here's the reason I haven't gotten into the dwarfs yet. It's because I have too many. I can't grow them all. I have to do more research. Something that says dwarf can mean different things. A micro tom, those are very small plants. They grow anywhere from 12 inches to maybe 18 inches tall, 2 feet at the most. And they are truly small plants. And they almost always only produce cherry-style tomatoes. But others that say dwarf, they could be a bushing style with a good thick stalk, good thick stems, sturdy and good container growing, but they can grow beefsteak sized tomatoes or saladettes or cherries or any number of things. So what I need to do is go through my list here and do some research. Off the top of my head, I can already tell you I'm going to grow Uluru Ochre and Purple Rain and Bogema because they produce fabulously for me here multiple years. So I'm just going to stick with those. But I have other options too. I've got some micro toms that I had success with: Balcony Venus, Orange Hat, and Pendulina Orange last year. I always grow Tiny Tim because that's just a workhorse for me. And then I got some new ones this year that I would like to think about trying. So I'm going to do a little more research on those and figure out which ones will work in my situation. Because unfortunately, like, I would plant every tomato I have, but I just don't have the room. I need like a 4-acre plot with full sun and a hose nearby. And then maybe I could plant everyone. So that's that. I'll be starting these in seed cells, seed trays under the grow lights on a heat mat next week. I'm also going to winter sow some of them, but I'll wait to do that until end of March. They don't need to go out that fast. And the ones that I'll winter sow are the ones that I can overseed and grow a bunch of them inside a milk jug or some sort of plastic container that can act as a miniature greenhouse. And I'll just grow a bunch of those for my plant sale that I have at the end of May. Those are not plants that I'll keep, but I can grow a bunch of them, get them a good running start. They don't need to be hardened off. They'll just be transplanted up into plastic cups and sold at my plant sale. And they'll be perfectly healthy plants. Things like paste tomatoes, some standard red beefsteaks, some cherry tomatoes. I won't do the fancy varieties for the plant sale. Most people around here just want the standards. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. Tell me what you're growing this year in your tomato patch. And let me know if any of these varieties seemed interesting to you or were new to you, because I have a lot that are new to me this year. I'm learning a lot, sharing it here, and I hope you'll come grow with me. Bye.